President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called on the National Assembly to amend existing laws to allow state governments to establish their own police forces in response to escalating insecurity across the country. In a statement declaring a nationwide security emergency, he said states need such structures should be empowered to create them, while his administration will support security outfits already set up by some states. Tinubu also urged schools and religious institutions in vulnerable areas to prioritize security by ensuring regular police presence. He advised states to avoid placing boarding schools in remote locations without proper protection and encourage mosques and churches to seek security support during gatherings. His remarks come amid rising concerns over attacks on educational and worship centers. As part of a broader strategy, Tinubu announced the recruitment of 20,000 additional police officers, raising this year's total intake to 50,000, and approved the use of NYSC camps for short-term training. He directed the DSS to deploy forest guards to clear bandit hideouts and ordered that officers withdrawn from VIP escorts undergo immediate retraining before being reassigned to high-risk areas. Now, the president appears to be taking some steps, having seen the outcry is getting much, and then there has been escalated attacks, you know. First of all, he said something around schools in vulnerable. He said Tinubu urged schools and religious institutions in vulnerable areas to prioritize security. One of the concerns I have, particularly in southeast, you know, some schools, some very elite schools, and also private universities, they are located in the outskirts of the communities. They are usually in rural areas, you know, just on the highway, surrounded. I am worried genuinely, and the rate this attack is not just escalating, but it's now growing. It has come to the southwest, by the way. It's now in southwest, and it is speedily spiraling down. And the government appears not to be in control of the situation, as it were, with the bandits openly coming on social media, doing TikTok, challenging the government, saying a lot of provocative things, you know, snapping pictures of their captives and posting and all of that. What do you make of this? And then the move for state police, do you think it's a good one at this point in time?
Let me start by saying that the banditry in the North Central is actually being sponsored by some high-profile, persons, who also controls the security there. That's my understanding, because the former head of state, General Sani Abacha, says that if insurgency lasts more than 24 hours, just know that the government have a hand in it, or some of the government officials are behind it.
This one has lasted over 16 years.
So what that means is that the officials are behind it, one way, directly or indirectly. Just like the governor of Kebbi State just recently came up to say, somebody put up a call asking the military to leave.
30 minutes before the invasion.
These are the issues. So you cannot tell me that what is happening in Nigeria today are not known by some of these people. It's because they are the ones aiding it. But come down to South and Southeast. I want to reassure you and Nigerians that South South and Southeast are not like the North Central. Even the bandits, even the militant, they know.
But then in those states, Fulani herdsmen attacks has been going
When
on.
I mean South South and Southeast, I'm talking about Rivers State and Bayelsa State. I'm not even talking about those states that is very close to them.
And
there.
Delta.
And probably Delta, to an extent. They cannot try that here.
Why do you say that? Where is your
cannot.
confidence coming from?
The confidence is coming from what I see in the streets. If they think they have mad people over there, there are also people who are madder down here that also have the instrument of force as they do have. So based on that, they know that they cannot try that here. They know. If you try it in any community, it won't take much for them to be rounded up. So what I see happening in the North Central, sometimes I feel so bad. They look at vulnerable communities, people who are vulnerable in communities where there are no security and all that. They go there, they strike, they hit, they run. Before these people will regroup and all that, they've already escaped. You can't try that in Niger Delta. There's hardly no village, especially in Rivers State and Bayelsa, where you will not see able-bodied men. Where you will not see able-bodied men who are willing to do the same thing they are doing. So I believe they know. Once you know you have a counter force, you will not go there. You only go to soft targets where you go hit, you run. If you go to a place where when you hit, you receive a ferocious hit, you will understand that it is better to, just stay away from them and let them have their thing. So that is just on that. And that is why you see the schools and all those establishments that you say that are within the forest and all that are not part of. They are not bothered, they are not worried, because they know that there's some air of, defense against the act of bandit and all that. There's that air of defense. You live in Rivers State, you know what I'm talking about.
When you say air of defense around schools in outskirts, one would say probably it will happen before that happens.
What I'm saying in essence is that even the bandit knew that things like this exist here, so they will not want to make the mistake of entering the trap. It exists. It's not as if they are just there, secure and physically every day, patrolling the forest and all that. They are not there. But the moment you strike, we will not allow the second one to happen.
But then the first one has happened.
Even in the US,
the first one that has happened.
Even in the US, you cannot preempt completely distance. This insecurity is insecurity. Or even in the US, where they have all the security. Just recently, somebody shot a cake from a distance. So if there was security, why didn't they defend that? It happened. Where is the man today? He's dead. But the outcome, the consequences of the actions of that person is what makes this state different from the other states. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Within a few hours, within hours or within days, the man that did that was caught. And today he's serving. As in the law would have taken up on whatever actions he has, done. That is the difference between this state and the other states that will allow these, criminals to, to be at large for a very long while and continue perpetrating evil. That's exactly the point. I'm not saying that because it is US that they can prevent completely.
One of the concerns, let me remind you of one Sunday, Sunday Jackson in Adamawa State, who fought Fulani herdsman invaded his farmland and attacked him while he was on his farmland, and he was stabbed severally. And in course of that fight, and he was defending himself, he killed the Fulani herdsman. And guess what? He was sentenced to death. And the matter was appealed. Appeal court upheld that judgment, and the matter was appealed to Supreme Court. And Supreme Court also affirmed that sentencing, the capital punishment meted out to him for self-defense, right? So now, you look at this, you defend yourself against bandits, you're sentenced to death. There's a precedence with Sunday Jackson. And this is the Kebbi State governor coming out to say that 30 minutes before an invasion, the DSS had given out that information that this is going to happen. Yet, 30 minutes before the time, the military was told to withdraw. Now, which means there was a precision in that particular activity that happened. And for military to have, for a court to have come from the rank and file to tell the military to withdraw, one would say what is actually going on. So when you look at this, one would say, is the government complicit? Are the judiciary complicit? How come there is a protection of the bandits as against the protection of the citizens? I'm bringing this to you because when you say, oh, they cannot try it in South, particularly River State, Bayelsa State, there are consequences for defending yourself against bandits, and in the process, you kill the bandits. What is your take on that?
Well, I am not a lawyer, but I don't think the court was wrong in the sentence that they meted out to the guy. The reason is simple. Law is not really, there are precedents, there are existing rules, and they apply the law in accordance with what is written there. Now, I don't know how to explain it to you. I'm not really a lawyer, but I know that if in the course of trying to carry out self-defense, you have access to a superior weapon compared to what the other person used, and in the course of doing that, you kill the person, there's always a penalty to that. Nobody will look at the sentiment of you trying to defend yourself. The question sometimes that they will ask, the person that came to do, did he come with a gun? Because if you had come with a gun, you will not see yourself to defend. Maybe he came with a knife to stab. Why didn't you have a knife to stab him? Sorry, I'm just using my layman's idea to look at this matter. At the end of the day, someone has died. Who died? And remember, the law stopped you from taking another's life. So that is on that. What I'm trying to say in Niger Delta is that even those who perpetrate this act understand that there are crazy people down here who are willing to take up arms the same way they take up arms. Based on that, it's just like if you look at what is happening in the world today, the US, and in fact the world powers, have what it takes to deter the others from attacking them. They have what it takes to stop the other from attacking them. So based on that, you see them only having diplomatic challenges. You won't see them go to war. Because if you have access to nuclear weapon, the other person has access to nuclear weapon. If you release yours, this person will release theirs. And at the end of the day, the whole place will blow. So based on that,
so now
there's deterrence.
Basically, if you say the Supreme Court is right, in sentencing Sunday Jackson to death for killing a Fulani herdsman who came to attack him in his own farmland in the process, which means that ultimately anybody, the persons you are claiming that, that defense is there in River State, might as well get themselves ready to face the ultimate punishment if push comes to shove.
The law
and that
is
is
the
a
law.
shootout. Yes, that we are saying the same thing. The law is the law.
Emotional.
So yeah, we are saying the same thing. We know the law is the law, but then US that have access to this matter has also said they will not assist Nigeria in helping with whatever Nigeria needs to combat insecurity until Sunday Jackson is released. I'm sure they have access to the details of the matter, and they are insisting. No, hold on. I am saying this because when you say the law is the law, a whole lot of bandits have been captured, and we are yet to hear successful prosecution. In fact, the only successful prosecution that I know of to date that DSS secured, the man got 22 years imprisonment on account of terrorism. And last time I checked, terrorism in Nigeria carries capital punishments. It carries the death sentence, but the man receives 22 years. The law is the law, George, in this instance in Nigeria. And the law is meant for Nigerian citizens. The Fulani, killer Fulani herdsmen, the bandits, the law is not meant for them. Ebetokun on national television when he was having press conference told the bandits that if they repent, that they will be rehabilitated and accepted. The law is the law, does not apply to bandits. Of course, these are bandits that have killed villages, genocides, wiped out people, sliced pregnant women, sliced their tummies open, killed babies, killed children, vulnerable men and women, old men, old women. And then the Nigerian government is making them a promise of rehabilitation. I mean, kill as many as you want and then tell us I am laying down my arms, and automatically amnesty is given to you. But then an individual who knows it is a fight to death succeeds in killing the attacker, the person that came to attack him, and you are here seated and telling me the law is the law, the Supreme Court is right. Then if the Supreme Court is right, on one hand, it means that anybody in Rivers State and South, like you're saying, that they have their defense system, that decides to take up on the bandits, they are wrong, because the law is the law, and they will face the ultimate punishment, which is death. I hope you are okay with that as well. All right, very well.
Can I ask you a question?
You now not answer, yes?
No. If you were to be the judge, would you go against the letter and provisions of the law to allow sentiments to give judgments?
Oh yes, I remember that the judge gave. I remember very well, like I stated here, that the law is the law. And last time I checked, Nigerian Constitution says that the judgment for terrorism is death. And in the case of Nigerian bandit who was arrested and prosecuted by the DSS as against the law, that is the law in Nigeria, the person got 22 years imprisonment. Judge, the law is the law.
That is not the question.
No, I just answered you. The law is the law.
Put yourself in the shoes of these judges. If a case of that nature comes before you, and you are the judge handling that matter, what would you do?
Was there a case of attack? Yes. Was there? Hold on. Was there?
You cannot go against it because you swore an oath to protect that.
Hold on, Judge, please. Was there a case of attack? Yes, there was a case of attack. What was the case of attack by a bandit? Are these bandits killer bandits? Yes. In Adamawa State, has there been history of these killings in Adamawa State? The answer is yes. Has there been history of killings by the same people? The answer is yes. There has been. So it has been established that it is a case of fight to the death. Okay. And then this young man didn't just come. When he was arrested, of course, he had evidences of that attack on his body. And the law in Nigeria is saying, offer yourself as a sacrificial lamb to be killed.
So what would
and then you become a mere chronological. If I may ask the judges in question and whoever that is hearing my voice, can any government official right now in this country say off the top of his fingers 100 names of people who died in Adamawa State, in Yewada massacre, in Plateau State? I can go on and on and on. Can they mention off the top of their hands? This is a country where in Benue State, Yewata massacre happened for hours. And guess what? The president came to console the governor of the state and never paid a visit to the site of the massacre. The law is the law, and the law is meant for certain persons.
The question is, what would you have done differently?
I am not, well, like I said, it's a rhetorical question, but I think to a large extent, I have set precedences, more than enough precedences for you to answer that.
Anyway.
Now, moving forward, George, to a large extent, the insecurity in this country is not one that can be rationalized at this point. And people are dying in their numbers. People are being killed. People are being displaced. And even in their ID camps, the IDP camps, they are being killed there. And you have said here that certain persons in the government are complicit. There have been even allegations that are proven of certain names, powers that be, walking the corridors of power in this country. So we are at a point where I am very removed from, you know, when we say the law is the law statement, because enough has been said. There are more than enough evidence that the law in Nigeria, one would say to a large extent, is selective to certain persons. And when we applaud things like this and say it is okay, let us understand that why it might be okay, because we are far removed from the crisis. For people who are in this, it is not okay. It is not okay. And it is very important that we also put ourselves in the shoes. It can be me tomorrow fighting for my life. And then in my head, I will be unable to defend myself because I will be the next Sunday Jackson.
I think what you should be calling for is a reform of the law. The law will continue to remain the law. There's nothing, emotion cannot change it. That's the point I want you to understand.
Right. Noted, Judge.
So we can call for reformation of the law to call for this and that. If this kind of thing happen, can we now have this to balance this and that? That is what we'll be calling for. We should not use emotion to look at the law the way it is today. If those who drafted the law at the time they drafted it never envisaged what is happening today, and today something come up, the judges will not go against the law to look for.
Right.
Or that's the point I'm trying to make, and that was why I returned the question to you.
Unfortunately, like I said, the law is the law. But
I needed to say something on state police creation. Okay, I love that. You know, I love that. This is what people have been clamoring for, which also will help, you know, to reduce the insecurity in the land.
Yes.
Because the individuals from these states know the states far more than to give way for bandits to come in. Oh, look, this is my people. I will do everything to make sure if I cannot disobey the order, I will look for a way to thwart it by sending signal to my people to see how they can. These are some of the things that can help. Yes, these are the things that can help to nip in the bud some of this insecurity. Because
apart from state police, also local vigilantes, don't you think
in addition to
that state governors actually take this up, take local vigilantes seriously?
They have in time past, but unfortunately, because of politics, some persons just felt that the governors will use them in terms of election.
Well, in the southwest, Amotekun, the southwest governors didn't listen to that, and Amotekun has been really, really empowered.
Functional, good. Yes. So, like today, it has become very imperative to form that. Irrespective of who is going to use them for election or anything like that, because the insecurity is so high and is pervading across our societies. Nobody will feel happy that all of a sudden someone that is so close to you, the life was cut off short by criminals, by bandits. So something must be done. So I'm happy that the president is actually the one. Let him not just kind of call the assembly. He should put it as an executive bill to them to see how they can speedily pass it into law. And the state governors begin to set up,
apart from state governors, also, when they say insecurity and security, it flows down to the 3 tiers of government. How about local government chairmen? What can the local governments do at this point in time?
It's still part of what we are saying, setting up vigilante. In recent time in River State, in some part of River State, we have the OSPAC security team. But at some point, maybe funding or inability to manage them and all that led to some kind of challenges here and there.
Yes.
Even in some communities, there are still OSPAC. In fact, in some communities...
Don't you think it's time for local government chairmen to not just wake them up, but prioritize security?
That's the point I'm trying to make by investing hugely in that. Yes. And you see people who are ready to take up security issues seriously, join those security vigilante teams to ensure they secure their community. Yes, proper both profiling and all that from the security agencies. If possible, teach them how to handle firearms. They should have some level of firearms they can handle. They can teach them, because the level of insecurity now is no longer the one you use knife and arrow and bow. It's something that these guys are coming with sophisticated, arms. So you teach them how to handle arms to be able to ward off these criminals. So
another troubling point is the camouflage they now wear. So how do you even know the fake military from the real
This is exactly where the security agencies will come in to teach them the psychological aspect of this, how to identify this and that. Some wordings and things like that they use in identification. So by the time they undergo this training, you see that Nigeria will become a better place. So I'm happy with the president for that. He should not just end it like that. He should ensure.
Follow it with action.
Follow it up.